Hey, what is going on? It is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate, your weekly mastermind here from the Tampa School of Real Estate, and myself, John Carissimo, as we talk about ways to mastermind to grow your real estate business. And what we're talking about today are open houses, but not just any open houses, not the old school traditional in-person open houses. That's going to be part of it. But also factoring in this new virtual open house phenomenon that was, if you had not adopted any virtual digital strategy for open houses, the real estate, really not the real estate market, but the world forced us into having to utilize these new technologies to be able to continue to conduct business in a safe and efficient way. But keyword efficient, that's what you want to be focusing on now, because when you're holding an open house, the old expression of kill two birds with one stone, why not also try to attract an online audience in addition to your in-person audience at your open house? Increase the exposure of your brand, increase the exposure of the listed property, and increase the opportunities to get new leads. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, really laying out a plan to be able to have a hybrid open house as we start to have in-person open houses again, how you continue to have this virtual concept as well, to have the best of both worlds, to be able to get the people who are going to show up in person, and those are usually going to be your more serious buyers, at least in the current situation. People coming out and going out there and looking at properties, they're probably going to be a little bit more serious because it's not something they have to do, and maybe something they shouldn't do, but something they could do if they really do need to buy real estate. So maybe the people that are coming in person are going to be a little bit more likely to buy than people who want to just attend your open house at home. And even take out of this situation the whole coronavirus and quarantining and social distancing, take that all out of the equation. And even in a normal economy, a normal market, if you're holding an open house, the only people that are going to actually show up there, it's either extremely convenient for them, and those are going to be the people that aren't motivated to buy right now, but it was convenient, they want to check it out, they're thinking about it. But then for the people that it's not convenient about to show up at that open house, but they're still curious, they're still interested, you could utilize the virtual format to be able to attract and pull them in as well, so that way you could make them a future client in addition to the people you're meeting in person. So hybrid open houses, if you're not doing them already, don't worry, that's what we're here to talk about today. My name is John Carissimo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Carissimo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday, we're live here to help you understand how to grow your real estate business. And so what we're talking about today is this whole idea of a hybrid open house. And if you guys have questions on any part of this, anything that we're talking about today, drop that in the chat in the comment section. We've got those loaded up right here for Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook right now, load up these comments there, and whatever questions you have, drop them in. So hybrid open house. You have your more traditional, the in-person, and then we also have the concept of a virtual open house. And there's a few things you could do to virtualize the open house, and we're going to talk about the different methods you could virtualize, really the whole entire listing, to deliver open houses, not only just in a live stream, interactive web conference, FaceTime type of format, but also where you could do this even more so virtualize it and create an on-demand open house. So again, in-person, traditional open house versus a virtual, either a live stream, and it could be a live stream utilizing something like this with Facebook Live. It could be even more so like a showing. And this is, again, all aspects of virtualizing your listings. You could show a property via FaceTime. Now, if they're really interested, they probably will want to make an in-person appointment. But if they're on the fence about it, wouldn't it be nice to where you don't have to coordinate with their schedule and you could take them in there to maybe see things a little bit more in depth? Because how often have you been looking at a listing? And look, you don't even have to be a realtor. If you're new to this, how often have you been looking online, whether you're a realtor looking in the MLS or your own website or on Zillow or anything like that, when you pull up a listing and you start flipping through the photos, and you see the photos and you get interested in the property, but you're not sure about certain things. Certain details you're not quite sure about, and you want to get a closer look. And this is where a lot of people would just request a showing, because that is really the perceived, from a consumer standpoint, typically the only way that people would perceive, that's the only way they could really, kind of kick the tire type of thing, when they, to use a car sales analogy. Kicking the tires, or really kind of getting a close looking at it. Because look, when somebody wants to make a decision to purchase a property, they usually do want to almost always see it before they actually make that decision, because they want to be inside of it. They want to be immersed by it, because they're going to be spending their lives in this house for however many years when we're talking about residential real estate. But then it might be easy to eliminate some options in a much more efficient fashion than just scheduling a showing. So maybe you're already in a neighborhood close by to a property and you could swing by, FaceTime the buyer real quick and say, hey, look here, I'm at the property right now. Just wanted to go to this so that way you don't have to make a trip out here and waste your time and gas. Unless you really do like this property, then I'd definitely have you come out here. That whole type of idea. That's why we would do something like this. So we'll put that up here as another option. And that's more so for a private showing, to utilize FaceTime. And look, if you don't have an Apple product, if they don't have an Apple product, there's tons of different ones out there. You could use Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts, I would say check that out. That's a free one. There's, of course, Zoom. Zoom has gotten super popular in light of current events. So you could utilize something more one-to-one. So again, that could be FaceTime, Zoom. I don't know, I always say Skype, but I'm not even sure if people still use Skype. Maybe if you use Skype, that works. Zoom seems to, again, be the more hot topic. Google Hangouts, if you're looking for one that's pretty easy to use, doesn't require any download, so especially somebody that might be new to this, that doesn't have just an iPhone where they can just click the green button to answer. Remember, you want to keep this simple. Technology only helps you if it simplifies things. If your technology makes things more complicated, you've got bad technology. It's not cutting-edge technology when it complicates things and makes your job more difficult. That's the purpose of technology, to make your job easier. Again, so you could be more efficient and you could work with more people at the same time. So some sort of one-to-one type of live streaming type of concept, in addition to something like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or something like that, just to broadcast to the world, hey, this is the property. And you could interact with the people tuning in and say, hey, let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. And that's where you can make it a little bit closer to like a private showing. And look, instead of just wasting your time sitting around at an open house without anybody coming in, hopefully you've already watched some of our open house episodes before and you know how to get people in your open house. But let's say that you do want to take advantage of the internet and being able to reach anybody on the planet instantly. How powerful is that, to get anybody who wants to come to your open house anywhere on the planet could do so instantly, virtually. Now, yes, it is not the same as actually being there in person, but it's the next best thing. Aside from somebody getting on a plane from wherever it is they might be looking at this property and flying here to check out this property, or driving, even just driving, it might be an hour away. Maybe somebody's moving to a new part of town or the other part of your state or wherever it may be. Somebody that's interested in this property, they might be somewhat interested but not sure. They need to see some more of it to confirm things. So again, having the live stream concept, having some sort of one-to-one method like a FaceTime, a Zoom, something like that, but then also something on demand. And this is more like you have a video tour. So an on-demand video tour type of, where it's just a video. It's basically, that's all it is, just a video tour. And this really can make it so 24/7, any time of day or night, You could walk them through the property in a more detailed fashion. Because the pictures, yes, they do say a lot about the property, and that's what's going to initially capture their attention. But when they're more interested, they want more information. They want to see more of the property. They want to see its best features showcased. And a video allows you to do almost like you're doing a private showing for them. Oh yeah, come here, check out the living room. Now imagine entertaining in this area. I mean, if you don't know how to do this, just go watch HGTV. Go put on like House Hunters or one of these shows and just watch how the realtors showcase the property. Now, why do I recommend that you go watch this? Because this is a TV network that consumers watch, millions of consumers watch. And when they interact with a real estate professional, and we don't look and sound like the people on TV, what happens? They're disappointed in us. They say, oh, I've got just some crusty realtor that doesn't know what they're doing. Don't be the crusty realtor. Be the professional realtor. Be the expert. Convey yourself in that best light where people, and look, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to dress fancy or anything like that, but you want to be a professional communicator. You want to have the appearance that you know what you're doing, and that you can do the job of showcasing the property. Now look, maybe you're not a camera person. Maybe you're not great in front of video. That's okay. Look, you could still do this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Even doing this where your personality, that's not going to stand in the way of somebody buying this property unless you just like get too crazy, which I don't want to say that it can't, because it definitely can. But if you're being a professional, your personality isn't going to get in the way of them seeing the property. Now, some tips that I want to offer on the virtual side, because look, in the in-person one, this is as simple as when you don't have people there, you can move around it and show people. Now look, if you are going to do this virtually, I'd recommend something like this. Something like this, some sort of stand. Look, you get a little tripod like this. We've got this, I think, on Amazon or something, where you can just set your phone up in it. Something like this, so that way when you do have people come in, you could say, okay, yeah, we're actually broadcasting the open house live right here. I'm going to go show these people around the property here. You guys, if you want to check anything out, put it in the comments. Now, this is going to work really well if you could tag team this, where you could always have somebody here standing by to greet your virtual clients. So maybe this is where you have a lender also at the open house with you, or maybe you've got somebody at the title company that has nothing better to do and wants to kind of help earn some of your business or your client's business. And whoever it may be that you could get that are extra people that you could get on your team. They don't necessarily need to be professionals. This could be your spouse. Get your spouse to get on your side. If your spouse is available on the weekends, they don't need a real estate license to be there to help you and assist you in your open house. That's the concept of an unlicensed assistant. That's right in your pre-licensing course. Remember back to your pre-licensing course, go back into it, go back in your textbook and look at the acceptable duties of an unlicensed assistant. There's a lot of things that an unlicensed assistant can do, including being your assistant at an open house, so that way they could greet people. Now, without a license, they can't give professional advice, and anything that requires a license, they can't do. So you would still have to be, as the licensee, the one that would ask, the one that would answer opinionative questions and things like that require a professional license. But for greeting somebody, getting somebody to sign in, asking questions that are readily available, that are public information essentially. So if they want to ask, hey, what is the listing price? Your unlicensed assistant can give them that listing price. Maybe you've got a teenager. Maybe you've got a teenager that you want to that wants to help. Maybe you're going to incentivize them some way, something like this. Look, this is a great way to teach your kids about entrepreneurship, is involving them in this here. So, but the key thing, if you want to be able to do the traditional and the virtual, imagine you go to do an in-person showing. Somebody comes into your open house and you're going to go give them a little tour of the property and show off the property and maybe answer some questions for them. You could have people visiting you virtually and you don't want to ignore them. Now, ultimately, yes, you can have them say, hey, just hang tight. And if that's all you can do, then that's better than not having this at all. Because look, when you have people comment on this, you could always message them back on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform it is you might be using to broadcast this open house. But look, if it gets down to where you don't have time for your virtual clients, that's where you're going to need help on this. This is where you're going to want somebody to be able to attend to these people and then maybe involve you. Say, hey, John, they've got a question here about the market value on the property. I know you've got to be the one to answer that. It's like, oh, yeah, great question. And then maybe you go into whatever questions it is they might be asking. And, what is the market value of the property? That would be a question that requires a real estate licensee, for one example. But any of the questions like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, basically anything that could be on a flyer. If you make up a flyer with details about the property, which I shouldn't say if you make up a flyer, when you make up a flyer, because when you have an open house, definitely make sure there's a flyer that has details of the property. Even if they don't look at it, even if they don't read it, if anything, it's going to be great for your unlicensed assistant to be able to quickly access information about the property. And look, if you've got a mortgage lender there, a mortgage loan originator, mortgage broker, whatever you want to call them, whoever it is that they are, if they don't have a real estate license, they're not a real estate licensee, so they're also an unlicensed assistant. So having a quick access fact sheet, a little flyer, something like that, that details out the property, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the description, the square footage, all of that information it is that you would have, that could all be provided by an unlicensed assistant. So again, there's a lot of opportunity to get more leads, but you still need to work those leads. You still need to talk to the people in your virtual open house if you're going to be interacting with them like this, just as you would if they were there in person. And maybe you could say, hey, give me a call. We could set up a private showing for you, a private confidential showing, because maybe they do have questions about the property, but maybe they don't feel comfortable asking these questions or expressing their interest in the property in the public format that is a live stream broadcast such as what we're doing right now. If they're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube or however it is that you're broadcasting with this here, they might not feel comfortable saying personal things in the chat section, so that's why you want to have a call to action. That, hey, if you want to learn more about this property, if you want to set up a private virtual showing, if you got an Apple product, we could FaceTime you. If you use Android, we could do a Google Hangout, we could do a Zoom, we could do a Skype. You want to have these tools and technologies available because look, there might be a client who uses Apple products. If they use Apple products and you also have a Apple product, now look, set aside your bias one way or the other, whether you like Apple or whether you hate Apple. You want to be able to utilize all potential platforms. So maybe you're an Android person and a Windows person and you hate Apple products. Get yourself an Apple product so you could FaceTime people. I don't care what you think about Apple products, but get something so you could do FaceTiming, because that would be huge. And if you're going to let your personal bias on technology get in the way of you doing business, you really need to rethink what your priorities are in life. And look, I get it, Big Brother, blah, 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 you don't want to, maybe you don't like Google or whoever or Apple or whatever company that it is that you don't like. Don't let that stand in the way of doing business. What is Apple going to do with your data if they have your data? Or what are they going to do with the $1,000 it is you spend on an iPad or something like that? Are you really going to be the one that makes Apple win? No, you're just a single person and you're just trying to utilize their technology to be able to better connect with your clients. So again, look at your priorities. And what are your priorities? Is your priorities making a point about what technology is best, or is your priorities being the most efficient way to contact your clients? So that's why, again, you want to have both. Now, if you use Apple products, I'm not here to say what you should use, but with most of the Apple products, anything that people can do Android type of video conferencing with, you could usually do that on an Apple product. So not only can you reach the Apple people, but you could also reach the Android people. You just download the Zoom app or download the Skype app or download the Google Hangout app or whatever app it is you might use to be able to do this one-to-one. Now, if you might be saying, John, I'm not an expert in live streaming and virtual conferencing. That's all right. That's why you're here, to start to learn about these technologies that are available so that way you can do more research. Look, I'm not here to walk you through how to do a Zoom meeting. If you need to figure out how to do a Zoom meeting, just Google how to do a Zoom meeting, and it'll walk you through step by step. What I'm here to help you understand is how you could use this technology for your real estate business. What are the practical applications? That's what we're here to talk about. Don't let the technicalities of the systems stress you out. You want to understand, and this is why I'm here to help you guys out with this stuff here, because if you don't understand the technical part of this system, it's really hard to figure out how this can be a benefit to your business. But once you get past the technical aspect, which that will come, no matter what you consider yourself as a technological person, that's a skill that can be learned. You know, having maybe an outgoing personality, even that can be learned to a certain extent. But technical skills, absolutely, they can be learned. Don't say you can't, because that's your first problem there. You stop yourself from learning by saying that you can't. So yes, you can utilize technology, but don't worry about the technical side of this. Think of these practical applications here. To be able to reach people. There's billions of people on this planet. The Tampa Bay Area has, I think, maybe about 3 million people, depending on how far you're casting the net. How many people you're including, well, how many areas it is you're including in the Tampa Bay area, but about 3 million people, which that sounds like so many people. But in Florida, we have like 21 or 22 million people currently. So our 3 million people doesn't really sound like a whole lot compared to 22 million. Compared to, I think the United States is somewhere in the 300 millions. So 300 million people, 300 something million people in the country. The Tampa Bay area, we're just 1% of the entire country. So just looking at the U.S. alone, if you only direct your marketing toward the Tampa Bay area, if your listings in the Tampa Bay area, you're only reaching 1% of the population. And anywhere in the country, it's very easy to move. There's nothing that, it's not like if you're trying to come to the United States from another country, even if that's one of our close neighbors like Canada or Mexico or anywhere in Europe or wherever it is you're coming from in the world, even if you are geographically close to us, it's not an easy process to get into the United States and be able to operate in the United States legally. There's a process that goes through that, but once you are part of the United States, it's very easy to move around. So you have to think that through, that there may be people that are interested in moving to Florida or wherever your market is. Let's say it's Florida, let's say it's Tampa. If they're interested in moving to Tampa and they live in New York, you know, that's something that you're going to always see. You'll always see people coming to Florida for the climate. You'll see people coming to Florida for jobs, for income taxes, for whatever the reason may be that people want to come to Florida. There's an influx of people coming to Florida for many, many reasons. And you're missing out on a large client base by not being able to stand out on a larger scale. And look, when we look even further, if we look across the entire planet now, yes, it might be a little bit more difficult for somebody to come to the United States from another country, but maybe they don't plan on coming here at all. Maybe they just want to buy this property as an investment. And so now when you think about people all over the planet, there's billions. Think 7 billion people are on planet Earth. And yes, of course, not all 7 billion people are going to want that piece of real estate. But looking only at the 3 million people in the Tampa Bay area versus the 7 billion people in the entire world, I mean, let's just do some quick math here. Let's see, how many zeros do we have for a billion? What is that, like 10 zeros? Yeah, it looks right. So if we take 7 billion and divide it by a measly little 3 million, there's over 2,000 times the amount of people in the world than there is just in the Tampa Bay area. So you're just looking at such a small piece of the pie if you do not have a virtual way to attract people's interest. And again, like I said, to stand out amongst your competition. Because look, everybody is doing photos. Everybody has photos of listings. Your photos of listings do not make your listing stand out. The photos are a requirement. You need photos. They don't make, now having good quality photos gives you a slight edge over other listings, but people are going to want more information. People will want more information. They want to know more before they make this large purchase, whether they're buying this for their home, or really especially if they're buying it for their home, but even if they're just buying it as an investment, they want to kick the tires. They want to, again, get to know the property in a more personal way, which usually, if again you want to just go through more traditional models, that involves somebody physically coming to your open house. Which, if it's convenient for them, if it's convenient enough, they'll do it. but maybe it's not convenient for them. Maybe they have a busy schedule and they've been putting off their dream of buying a house, or they've been putting off their upgrade in real estate because they've been so busy and they haven't had time to go get a list. Look, in 2020, people are busier than ever. And that's what it'll continue to be like. And people always find time to fill their schedules. Now, sometimes more noble things than others, but they will always fill their schedules. And so if you don't make it easy, you're turning away business essentially. You want to design your business to be the most efficient way to purchase real estate. Because not only will that make your job easier, because your clients will be more at ease, less stressed out, but you'll also be able to do more business, which that'll make you happy. And it'll make your clients happy because you're able to do this in a systematic process. Last, I think just Wednesday, we did a live stream on systematizing your business. And one of the major benefits of systematizing your business is that you could build something that's repeatable and duplicatable, and you could build it larger. Now, in order to build it larger, you're going to need more leads. That's one of the main things we talked about when we talked about systematizing your business, that you need more leads. And if you don't have enough leads, you can't grow your business. So it's both sides you've got to balance out. You've got to figure out, okay, how do I build a business that can handle more leads? And now that I have the business that can handle more leads, now how do I get more leads? And if you limit yourself to just face-to-face contact, think back, if you will. Think back to before the internet. Think back even when we had the internet. Think back 10 years. Look back to 2010. And even though we had the internet, even though we had social media, information didn't move at the speed that it does today. Think back a little bit further to 2000. We still had the internet, but social media really wasn't a thing at this point in 2000. Think of the transfer of information then. Go back even further to 1990. Yeah, the internet existed, but it was like a brand new thing. People really didn't even have home computers in a grand mass scale, at least not anything close to what we have today. Go back to the 1980s. Go back to the 1900s. When before there was TV, there was just radio. And that was the only way to disseminate information. And look at how much slower things moved. So when you could speed up, you're able to do more. And that's also why, again, like I said, in 2020, people are busier than ever. Because there's things to do, and you could find out about those things to do. People spend hours online watching how to cook things, how to do things, how to build things, how to make things. What things are available to do. Oh, look at this golfing thing where it's a driving range, but you hit the balls into these targets and it keeps score. Oh, that's really neat. Oh, look at that. I found out about this through the marketing of this company. And businesses, from a business standpoint, there's never been greater opportunity to reach customers. I don't want to say it's easy because there's a lot of knowledge that's necessary to advertise effectively and build this system. And this is a constantly evolving process for your business. This is something that will not ever end. There's always more that can be improved and more that can be done because the market changes, because technology improves, because there's new things to take into account and factor in to your business plan. But again, key takeaway, because I don't want to get too lost on a tangent here just talking about the advent of technology. But if you want to increase your business, you don't want to rely on what people could do in the 1900s. The late 1800s, early 1900s, that's when open houses first started coming about. That's where open houses were first beginning, and it's like, hey, come check out this house that you could get electricity inside. And the only way people could see that house, other side than maybe looking at like a black and white photo of the property, and you think it might cost a lot to hire a photographer in 2020, imagine back in 1900 when there's maybe one person in town that even owns a camera. So things were a lot slower then because it involved face-to-face. But as methods and technologies improve to having the telephone, really the big thing again for just individuals but also businesses is the technology that's available. YouTube, Facebook, all of these gifts, when you look at them that way, allow you to reach the entire planet. Anybody with an internet connection, which probably isn't all 7 billion people. All 7 billion people probably don't have access to the internet, but you give it long enough and they will. They're putting the internet in the sky so they can just beam it down to us. All kinds of crazy stuff like that going on. So the internet isn't going away. Do not deny the technological advantage you could give yourself by utilizing virtual open houses. Now, one of the things, just some quick video tips here that I want to give you guys, because yes, you do want to just do this. Doing any video is better than no video. Any one of these methods, utilizing that technology to increase the exposure of the property, is better than not doing anything at all. But one of the things I want to add to this before we sign off for the day is just some quick video tips. Which couple key things it is you want to keep in mind. The lighting. Can people see? You can't really see our full studio here right now. But the reason why you can see me so well isn't because we have a really nice camera, which we do have a nice camera that's shooting this, but it's not even that fancy of a camera, but because of all the lights in here. Because cameras have a very hard time making something look good in low light. You need to buy a very expensive camera to make something look good in low light. So what do? You open windows, you turn on lights. If the property is vacant, bring in some lamps. Maybe team up with a interior designer that's going to help you make the property well lit. Maybe you're not going to fully stage the property, but you're going to light it well. Look, there's all kinds, again, for these technical skills, these more technical things like how to make camera lighting look good, Google search, look on YouTube. But lighting, very essential. That's one of the most important things you can do to make sure your video looks presentable, is make sure that it's well lit. That will always improve your videos, well lit. The second big thing, and these are really just we'll throw a couple other tips up here. Audio. Make sure that you're speaking loudly and speaking clearly. Nothing's worse than, somebody who's like, hey, check out my open house. Hey, you guys see my open house here? Look at this, there's the living room. Yeah, it looks like a nice spot for your family, huh? You just sound weird. So you want to project your voice. Just like the cameras are not as good as our eyeballs. That's why we need to make sure the videos are well lit. The microphones are not as good as our ears. So we need to make sure that we're projecting our voice confidently. And yes, you'll be a little loud, but that's good. You want to make sure they can hear you. And not that they just kind of hear you, but they clearly hear you. So audio is very important. Maybe you get some sort of like little plug-in microphone. There's all kinds of little microphones you get that plug into a cell phone or something like that. Look, we need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're just going to wrap up with a few more video tips to make sure that your open houses that you're doing virtually are flawless. So stick with us. I'm John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrisman. The show's brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you grow your real estate business. This is a little mastermind that we do every week that goes beyond just the textbook material of the laws and rules and things you're supposed to do to just, hey, what do you need to do to be able to make money in real estate? And not just make some money in real estate, but be able to build the business that you desire. Whatever it is, whatever level it is that you want to be at in real estate, utilizing virtual open houses is going to help get you there. And again, you want to do this as a hybrid model where you're not giving up on the traditional in-person open houses, because again, it's either where it's more convenient or they're more serious. So you don't want to necessarily not do that, but this allows you, again, a lot more opportunities to reach your potential clients. But getting back to the video tips, so again, lighting, extremely important. Make sure your videos are well lit. The audio. Also, these are really the top two things. From a video quality standpoint, these are the two technical things that most people do not pay enough attention to. If you focus a little bit, because, we could also talk about here of, yes, you want to sound good. You want to use the right words. You want to be able to convey your message. You want to have speaking skills, essentially. So speaking skills, you're probably aware of. If you go back and watch the video, you might go and say, oh, I should have said this. Oh, why did I say that way? Oh, this didn't sound that good. But also be a little critical of, how does this look visually? How does this sound? Am I able to hear myself clearly, or can I improve on these two things? And most videos that you see online lack in these two areas because it takes time and effort to set up to make sure it's well lit. You might have to bring in some additional lighting. Again, whether that's lamps or maybe you're even investing in some video lighting to make sure that people can see you when they're watching the open house virtual and so on and so forth. But also the audio. Not just can they kind of hear you, can they hear you clearly? So make sure you project your voice. We'll throw the speaking skills up here. That's going to be something that constantly evolves, though, so don't worry too much about this, because this is, again, where your personality, that's not really going to get too much in the way. If you're not a great speaker, don't worry. People will be forgiving, because most people aren't good on the camera. And don't stress yourself out if you get some internet troll that comes into your comment sections and is just bashing you. That could happen, but if it does, you can just simply block them. You kick them out of the virtual open house. You literally give them the boot. So you could do that in case anybody does. But usually, that's not going to be the case. The only people usually going to be commenting on this here are people that are interested in whatever it is that you're sharing. Because if they don't like what you're sharing, they can just scroll right by. And they know that. You know that. So if they don't want to just do that, you could kick them out. But you probably won't have to do that. So don't worry, again, necessarily about your personality getting in the way of the video. Your personality will come out the more it is that you do this. The more time you spend in front of a camera, the more comfortable you'll become in front of a camera. Look, if you don't believe me, go onto our YouTube. We haven't taken these videos down. Go back onto our YouTube and go and sort it by the oldest. Go on YouTube for Tampa School of Real Estate, sort by our oldest, and you'll see some videos of myself where I'll go back and watch these videos sometimes and I'll just sit there and say, wow, man, that's what I used to sound like. So again, this will come out over time as you get more comfortable in front of a camera. And again, it's different for everyone depending on how much time you've spent in front of a camera. So don't worry necessarily so much about your speaking skills, but do try to improve those. But definitely make a conscious effort to make sure your video and your lighting look well. Also, make sure it's not too short. And when I say not too short, that you don't want to just live stream for 30 seconds. I can't tell you how many times that I've been on Facebook or some platform and I go to watch a live video. It happens a lot on Facebook because Facebook, it doesn't always update right away as soon as the live video ends. Sometimes you'll go in and you'll start watching a live video, you'll click on it, and as soon as you start to watch it, oh, sorry, this live video's over. Like, what do you mean it's over? It just said it was live. And then you look at the video and you're like, wait a minute, they just posted this 2 minutes ago, so they're live for 2 minutes? The point of your virtual house isn't just to be live for 2 minutes. I mean, imagine you held a traditional in-person open house and no virtual whatsoever. And you said, okay, the open house will be on Saturday from 12:07 to 12:09. You could come on Saturday between 12:07 and 12:09. Can't come between 12:07 and 12:09? Oh, well, too bad. You could take a flyer. So sorry that you couldn't come within the 2 minutes that we held our open house. So don't hold a 2-minute open house. That's just silly. And yeah, look, you might have your live video sitting there for a while with nobody on it. That's okay. Because even one person on your live stream watching this here, they might be worth $10,000, $20,000, $5,000, $2,000, $3,000. So yes, they might only be one person, but all you need is one to get a pretty nice commission check. So somebody on that virtual open house, they might be considering seriously moving to your market, but maybe they, again, aren't physically there. But maybe through this virtual tour, they really like the property so much that they're willing to get here physically so they could see it because they want to move and make an offer and make sure that they don't lose out on that property. Wouldn't have been possible if you weren't able to expand their interest through these virtual methods. So again, make sure it's not too short. You want to make sure you give people time to come and go. And don't worry if no one's live. I know you might be tempted. You say, ooh, there's nobody live right now. That's okay. Leave the door open. Leave the door open for anybody to come in that wants to come in. Maybe if there's nobody tuning in, maybe that's where you go onto Facebook and you start boosting your live stream. So that way more people are just going to see it as an ad. So that way you just get some more business in there. That's a great way to experiment with advertising and boosting posts on Facebook or whatever platform it is you might be doing this on. Most of them have some sort of option where you can boost it or increase the exposure that you're getting if you are interested in doing that here. And look, it's not necessarily a goal to have 50 or 100 people on here because you can't speak to 50 or 100 people at once. And if there's 50 people, someone's definitely not going to put their personal information in the chat then because they don't want all these 50 people to see, hey, I'm interested or something like that. So again, always have that call to action. The call to action is extremely important. And the call to action, every video should have a call to action. It's like your moral of a story. In a more theatrical video production like a movie, the call to action is the moral of the story. It's like, okay, based on this movie, this made me, think about something this way. When somebody really has a moving experience at a movie, movies are designed to move you. A good movie, they draw out the emotions and all the other stuff to really make you feel like you're part of that experience. And there's usually some sort of moral to the story with most movies. But then you also look at videos. Now, when you're online and maybe on YouTube or Facebook watching videos, the call to action is, hey, what you're supposed to do with this information. Is the call to action to hey, call us to schedule a one-on-one personal, private, confidential virtual tour through Facebook, Zoom, Skype, or the platform of the video conferencing platform of your choice. And look, again, that's where you want to be an expert in all these. If you're not a technical person, maybe you find somebody that's technical, again, maybe to help you out. Maybe that's your spouse, maybe that's your children, maybe that's a friend, maybe that's another realtor in your office. Who knows who it might be that might be, again, more technically savvy and could understand this process better to, again, help you, again, deliver the full experience, the full available opportunity to expose this property while you're there. Again, the purpose of this is you're there holding the open house already. Why rely just on this small segment of possible people walking in? Realtors always complain about not getting enough people at their open house. Well, hey, people are busy. It might not be convenient for them to go look at this even if they do live in the area, let alone the people who are not physically in the area to see this property at your open house. Give them an option. Give them an ability to figure out more about this property. So look, that's the hybrid open house concept here. And look, even if you're not doing open houses in person yet, make use of this. This is huge. And you want to do this in conjunction with your in-person open houses. When you're doing in-person open houses, don't just do an in-person open house. That really should be secondary to the virtual. If you're going to choose one of these over the other, the virtual one definitely has a lot more opportunity to reach more people. But again, the people that are most interested are going to want to see it in person. Now, that usually is going to be where you could just schedule a private showing, maybe just a private virtual showing, and then that leads to maybe a private showing, or maybe they're already super interested because they already participated in the live stream and they say, hey, can you show me the appliances? Oh yeah, look here. Here's the appliances. How many times have you been looking at real estate and you look at pictures online and you're like, I wonder this. I wish they would have showed a picture of this. I wish I could see what this looks like. I wish I could see how this works. The technology is there. Don't ignore it. So look, that's open houses. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you want to get your real estate license, or you got to do your post-licensing or continuing education or anything like that, let us help you fulfill those requirements. 813-333-2676, 813-333-2676. That's our phone number. Advisors standing by to answer any questions you have, assist you in any way they can. You can also text us at that number, 813-333-2676. We want to help you achieve your real estate dreams and goals and get that business in line to where it is that you want it to be. So give us a call or check us out online at tampaschool.com. That's tampaschool.com. If you like today's episode, if you like the topic and the content we deliver it to you, make sure you hit that like button. That's how we know what videos you guys are most interested in, so we can keep making more of those and expanding on these topics. Because look, we could go on all year talking about open houses and the best way to hold them and really dialing it in. But we need to know if you guys want to know about that. So hit the like button if you like this topic. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any of this information that we deliver on a daily basis, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that little bell icon and you'll get notifications, so that way you don't miss out on any of the information we do provide out to you guys free of charge. So that's all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.